All right, welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about the 10 huge mistakes that beginning Uber drivers and even seasoned Uber drivers are making that is either costing them money, putting their health in jeopardy, or even putting them in position to go to jail. Okay, so let's talk about those 10 things right now. Number one is the number one mistake they make. They don't share their story. Understand this. If you are a student, a family man with kids, if you are a struggling artist or a musician, you need to share your story with the people that are getting in your vehicle. Here is why. You might have heard this statement. If not, this will be your first time hearing it. Write it down. Understand this. Facts tell, stories sell. Okay? Facts tell, stories sell. Since the beginning of time, what moves the needle, what allows people to be compassionate, allow people to be moved to want to share and support your vision, your goals, is stories. Okay? The number one selling book in the world, it is the undisputed king of sales, is the Bible. The Bible is filled with stories. So remember that. It will move the needle. You need to share why you became a driver. You need to share what you were doing and where you're going. You need to make people understand what your vision is, what your exit plan is. Don't be afraid to share that with people, because it will allow people to be compassionate and to understand who you are, and they will want to support it a lot of times by financially rewarding you with a tip, either cash or through the app. I used to share my story all the time in my vehicle. I would share the story of why I'm doing this. I would share the story of why I built the channel. I would share a story about what I was doing here in Atlanta with my photography. And I made a ton of tips. I used to average doing $100+ in tips a week just from sharing my story. So that's super powerful. Number two, always check your back seat for lost items, because that can get you a citation, or it can actually land you in jail, period. So you say, wait a minute, what do you mean? How could it land you in jail? You don't know who's getting in your vehicle. You don't know what they're carrying in their pockets. It can be an illegal substance or something like that. And if that slips out, falls out in your back seat, or falls out on the floor, and you don't know about it, you don't check your back seat after every ride or check your floor. If you ever get pulled over by the cops, especially here in Atlanta. Let me just give you an example here. Say someone gets in your vehicle and they're carrying an illegal substance. Maybe it's gummy bears with THC in it. Understand this. If they find a gummy bear and that gummy bear has THC in it or whatever, understand that you're going to jail immediately, because that is illegal here in Georgia. You can't have any THC products, weed, leafy green, any of that stuff. Understand that plastic bags, anything that could give a cop any type of motive to search your vehicle, plastic bags, tags off of, clothes. You say, wait a minute, tags off of clothes? Yes, because tags off of clothes can give them probable cause to look inside the vehicle, because it could be, stolen items or anything. You never want to give a cop any reason to want to search your vehicle through probable cause. I used to check my vehicle religiously. Check your back seat and check your floors, because you don't, not only for lost items, but you don't want to get a citation or go to jail for something that was totally not yours. And there's no way you're going to be able to explain it to a cop if it's in there. Just don't do it. Number three, they don't download the Uber passenger app, and they don't take their first Uber trip or they download the Lyft app, okay, and take a trip. Now you say, well, why are you mentioning downloading the passenger app for Uber and Lyft? Two reasons. You need to understand completely how the Uber platform and the Uber app works from the rider side, so you can understand any frustrations or difficulties that they're having. First of all, you can help them if they ask you, but if they're frustrated, you can understand why they're frustrated depending on what is going on or what they've experienced within that app. That helps you decrease, anger, and help someone solve a problem. You want to get a good rating, you want to get a good tip, help someone solve a problem. It is the oldest thing in the book when it comes to sell. You want to sell something, help someone solve a problem. And in this case, as a customer service representative, because you're running a business and you're in the customer service industry, help people solve problems. And by also taking your first trip, you can understand what it's like, for the driver who's driving you. You can understand what it's like to actually look on the app and see, what Uber's doing on both sides, from the driver side, from the Uber driver app, okay, and then also from the passenger app. You need to understand how both of these things work because it'll help you make more money. And if on the Lyft side of things, you need to know how the competitor's app is operating. If you don't know these things, you don't have that information, how in the world can you be an effective business owner if you don't know what the competition is doing? If you don't know what the full circle of how the business even operates? So download the app. Number 4, they don't learn the city's main attractions. Here in Atlanta, obviously we got the Verizon Center. We got the SunTrust Stadium where the Braves play. We have, Phillips Arena. You got so many different things. You need to learn the main attractions in your city, because not only is that going to make you more knowledgeable about your city, where to get to them on the side streets, the back streets, the roundabout streets, or whatever, because those are most of the time when you're taking passenger somewhere, is going to be to a main attraction, a hotel or a restaurant, or the airport if you got one in your city. So you need to learn those things, because you will be able to navigate and get there without having to depend on the app all the time, constantly looking at the app and making wrong turns or whatever. And you should be using Waze, by the way, anyway. If you are using a navigation app, you should be using Waze. But learn the city main attractions, because that's going to be big for you. Number 5, they don't keep up with current affairs, current events. They don't listen to NPR news. Why do you need to do that? Well, I got a phone call here. Okay. Why do you need to do that? Because that is going to allow you to have a well-rounded conversation. For the people that get into your vehicle, remember, you are in a customer service business. Now, if the people don't want to talk, that's fine. They're doing something. They're engaged in their laptop or phone or whatever, doing something. That's fine. But for those that do want to have a conversation with you, do you understand how much money I made in tips just from being well-rounded in my conversation, listening to NPR news, hearing what was on the cusp for current events, knowing what was going on in my city when somebody's flying in from New York or Jersey or Vegas or California, and they wanted to know what was going on in this city? I was an encyclopedia, man. I knew what was going to be happening that weekend or that day. I knew what the weather was going to be like. I knew what the main attractions was. I knew what was going on, as far as what was being talked about on NPR news and local news. You got to have that information, because it's going to make you more money. Okay. Trust me on that. Number 6, they go out. One of the biggest, they go out and they buy candy, they buy gum, they buy water. If you want to do that, that's fine. If you want to, if you think that's going to help you make more tips, but I got to be honest with you. I never had any of that stuff, and I made plenty of tips. I used to average over $100 a week in tips, but I can tell you this, it's going to cost you more money. Okay, now sure, you can write that stuff off. If you got a good CPA, you can write that stuff off on your taxes. But I can tell you, it's a waste of money. Most people, they go in, they rate that stuff. They don't give you a good rating for it or whatever. You'll be doing better with doing what I'm telling you, being well-rounded in your conversation versus providing people water, gum, and stuff like that. But if you want to do it, that's fine. I took the notion, I'm not Delta. I'm not providing you snacks and stuff like that, because I'm not getting paid enough money to provide you snacks. And I don't like the gum getting on. You got ignorant people out there that will take gum, chew it up, and stick it on, the back of your seat, put it on under the back of your hand rest, and put it, on your floor and your rug. If you want to do that, that's totally fine. I don't recommend it. All right, number 7. And the reason I'm telling you that, I made tens of thousands of dollars, okay, on this platform, and I never had gum, candy, or water. Number 7, they don't buy vomit bags, okay? There's going to be a link in the description of 20 items, and I'll maybe put a card here in the video, 20 items that every Uber driver should have. But number 1 out of those 20 is vomit bags, because you're going to get people in your vehicle. Sometimes they're going to be inebriated. And if you don't have a vomit bag for them to be able to, puke inside of. Yeah, Uber's gonna pay you for them cleaning, cleaning up that mess or whatever. But I can promise you, some of the nastiest stuff in the world is actually vomit from a human being. You don't want it in your car at all. If you can avoid it, do so. Buy you some vomit bags. It has saved me on 2 occasions. One time, the guy couldn't quite make it to the bag, or he was too drunk to even see where the heck to line it up, and I had puke in my car. And I got to be honest with you, that $200 at the time that Uber paid me, that was some bullshit. It wasn't worth it. All right, number 8, they don't get out and they don't walk around. For every 2 hours that you're in your vehicle, you should get out and walk 5 to 10 minutes. Why do you want to do that? Because and then this varies by individual, right? Depending on what your weight is and depending on how athletic you are and stuff like that. But understand this: if you're just riding around all day, every day for 4 or 5 or 6 times a week for hours at a time, you're going to develop blood clots and you're also going to develop health problems. You do not want this. I've seen people get out of their vehicle, pass out, develop blood clots, and blood clots can kill you. Okay, so for every 2 hours minimum, if you feel like you need to do it every hour, hour and a half, or whatever, but I recommend, trust me, for your own personal health, get out and walk around for 5 to 10 minutes and stretch your legs. Okay, don't be sitting up in that car for hours at a time without getting out. That's crazy. You're putting yourself at health risk. Number 9, big mistake. They don't direct their passenger to the curve when they're getting out of the vehicle. And so here's what I mean. So always direct your passenger near the curve when opening your back door. Okay, you can get your door knocked off if that doesn't happen. And so you say, what do you mean? This probably has already happened to you. You got 2 people in the back seat. You pull up to the destination. You pull over to the curve. Instead of telling them, hey guys, make sure you exit out to the right to the curve, some of you don't say anything because you don't like talking to your people in the back seat. And what happens? You're on a street that's busy and they open the car up and there's a car coming. They almost knock your complete door off. That's just insane. All you have to do is simply ask them to exit they'll follow your lead. Trust me, it's your car. Most people will respect you. I would say majority of the people. I've only had one person say, no, I got it. When I just thought he was just being arrogant. But all the other times, and I have hundreds of rides up under my belt. You know what I mean? Some of you have thousands, okay? Understand this. They will get out. They will just exit out on the right side of the curve, and they will actually say thank you. And the way you can just say that is say, hey, guys, make sure you exit out to the right side or toward the curve so that you don't get hit and so my door doesn't get knocked off. And most of the time, if you laugh or crack a smile, they'll laugh and they'll do what you ask them to do. Make sure you do that, because I've seen people almost get ran over. Okay, passengers almost get ran over and doors almost get knocked off. And I not quite sure, but I think you might be to blame if that happens. I'm just saying. All right, so number 10, the biggest mistake that drivers make is their radio stations. Okay, understand this. Most vehicles has 5 to 6 preset stations, and they have three times you can do that. So there's 3 options to program 5 or 6 different stations. Here's the stations you need to program on one of those settings. Leave the other 2 for you. That's totally fine. But I'm about to give you a really good tip here. Number 1, setting number 1, set it on a pop station. Number 1. Number 2, set it on a rock station. Number 3, set it on a hip hop / R&B station. Number 4, set on a sports station. Number 5, set on NPR News. And if you have a 6th option, set it on jazz. Okay, now, why? Okay, well, I'm going to talk about that 6th one here in a second. But understand and remember where they are, because, again, you have people of all walks of life getting inside of your vehicle. And believe me, these are the settings that will satisfy any one of them: pop, rock, hip hop, R&B, sports, and NPR News. Never, And when I say never, I mean never set a channel on politics or religion, because understand this. If you know anything about history, more wars have been fought over religion, politics, and land, i.e. real estate, than anything. So why in the world would you set a station on politics or religion? I made the mistake of doing that once, and it was just say it was a very interesting conversation between me and the person in the back, and I got an extremely bad rating, and at the end of the ride they got out and they gave me the finger. So don't do it. Trust me, put it on the ones that I gave you there. And now let's talk about the sixth one. If you have one in your car, set that on a jazz station, because depending on when you're driving, if you're one of the guys or girls that go out and you do rides at bars, pubs, or clubs or something like that afterwards, setting it on a jazz channel, I don't know what it is, but it calms people down. They've been in the club, they've been crunk, they've been turned up all day and all night or whatever. If you put on a jazz channel, I don't know what it is, Boney James and all these other guys, it calms people down. It turns them from crunk to calm. Now, if you don't want to put it on jazz, the other thing that I would recommend you put it on is a comedy station. If you have something like a satellite radio or something like that, and you say, do I want to put it on comedy station for the passenger? No, it is for you. It is 100% for you, because believe me, regardless of how much knowledge and information you have and how good of a time you're having, there's going to be someone who's going to get in your vehicle. They are going to piss you off. And believe me, you're going to need that comedy channel to get yourself back in the right frame of mind to continue to go out and earn money for you and your family. So when people used to piss me off, I would pull over, on the side of the road, pull over in the parking lot, and I would literally listen to 5 or 10 minutes of comedy so that I can make myself laugh and get myself back in the right frame of mind to go back out and get my money. I would never let someone destroy my confidence or my determination to provide for my family for more than 5 to 10 minutes. Okay? So those are the 10 biggest mistakes that Uber drivers make, beginners and seasoned drivers. If you take heed of those 10 tips that I gave you, you won't have those mistakes, and you'll have a better chance of running a more successful business and having a lot more fun doing it, and also not putting yourself in jeopardy of going to jail or putting yourself at risk of actually dying. Okay? So my name is Calvin. I'm the Simple Driver. Peace.